Couples are getting married later, they're having children later, and they're having fewer kids. There's a lot of societal norms that are changing, but you also have cost of living is going up. And so I think people are really apprehensive about it. And more two-parent households are working than there probably was, 30, 40 years ago.
You cannot talk about family values and birth rates if you don't talk about the fact that the United States has one of the worst set of family and maternity care policies of any industrialized nation.
The number of children born per 1,000 women in just 10 years has almost decreased by 2 points. So it was 12.4 and it's down to 10.7. That to me is one of the most staggering numbers, because you hear a lot of numbers from like 1980 to today, and there's a big difference. But we're talking just within the last 10 years, the children per 1,000 is 12.4 to 10.7. That's significant.
In the United States, the number of births has been decreasing about 3% from 2022. And this is happening across developed industrialized countries. And it does mean that birth rates are falling below replacement levels, as they say.
We have a major problem with our worker to beneficiary ratios. When programs like Medicare and Social Security started out, there was a high number of workers to a number of beneficiaries, and that number has shrunk significantly. And that's only going to get worse if we have an aging population and we're a bit top heavy. We need to make sure that we have people ready to work and sustain this economy going forward.
We can't forget about the important role that immigration plays in countries that have falling birth rates and how important that is. If you have a society that can welcome immigrants, that can integrate immigrants, that's going to be very important for both supporting programs like Social Security and then having the population to care for our elders in our nursing homes. And that's what's happening right now. Many of the caregivers are indeed immigrant women in our elder care facilities. Absolutely not. What the federal government needs to do is have paid family and medical leave so that parents can care for their newborn and family members. We need to make sure that we have the health care for pregnant mothers. Right now, 40% of the births in the country are paid for by Medicaid. The Republican and Trump reconciliation bill cuts Medicaid. So that's going to impact the ability of women to have healthy babies.
These are things that we've been working on heavily in my office. In fact, this most recent bill that we just passed, the One Big Beautiful Bill, it enhances the child tax credit. So it increases the amount associated with that, but it does something that hasn't ever been done before and makes it permanent. So it'll never drop below the rate we just set it at. And that's double what it was just a few years ago. And this supports parents that carry that extra burden of raising families. It's tough financially, and we're trying to ease their burden.
We need access to affordable and high quality childcare so parents can go back to work knowing that their children are going to be cared for. We need reproductive health care, both, if you want to have your child through IVF, but also how do we make sure that we take care of women who have complications? Women need to know that they're going to be safe in their pregnancies.
We're doing something even more unique with what's called the Invest America accounts. They're going to provide seed funding for every baby born in the next 4 years, and hopefully we'll be able to find a way to continue this on. What that means is they're going to be able to invest in an IRA 30 years sooner than they otherwise normally would have. And they're going to be able to see through their formative years the effects of compound interest. And making a little bit of investment here produces a better outcome years later. And that's something that's key for the next generation of Americans.
That's what the child tax credit is, but what they offered is peanuts. We need a child tax credit that is actually can be paid monthly, and that is enough so that children do not live in poverty. But then you need to put that together with the other federal policies I suggested, from family and medical leave to childcare.
The incentives to immediately have children, they usually, I don't think there's been any accurate data that shows that they work. Some European countries have tried to do payments if you have kids. I don't think that really moves the needle. You just need people to have confidence in the economy, confidence in the job market, and the upward mobility to be able to really embrace this idea of having a few children.
Across the world, we know that countries recognize the importance of having family and medical leave that's paid for. That's not just, well, you get to take the time off, but you're not going to get paid. Well, that puts families in a bind. If you're not working, but you have these extra expenses from a new family, how are you going to make that happen? So we need to catch up to the rest of the world. We need to catch up to Estonia, which provides so much more.
The industry will be able to determine what's the best incentive than necessarily a big government approach. Companies are posed to be able to do this really well. And if we make it so small businesses or large corporations are empowered to grow their workforce, they're going to have to embrace a competitive market. And they're going to say, hey, look, our competitors are offering this amount of child support, or our competitors are offering tuition assistance. We need to make sure that we're competing on this. And those types of things really work themselves out when you have strong industries competing in a fair economy.